Go on, go with the headstone. What's on the headstone?
So on the headstone, here is Vanessa. She lived fully, she learned plenty, and she laughed heartily. She humbly tried to make you laugh, and if she failed, too late. Sorry.
That's a big headstone.
Yeah, it's a few headstones. It's a collection.
Was this a mausoleum you want erected?
Yeah, that's it.
And a QR code if you want to know more.
You're listening to the Occupational Philosophers with Simon Banks and John Rice.
Hello and welcome to another episode of the Occupational Philosophers, a not-so-serious business podcast designed to spark your curiosity, creativity and imagination. And so here we are again. Simon, hello to you. How are you today?
John, I'm very, very well. And your good self, the tables are turned. I have some wine. You have some coffee instead of the other way around. So, yeah, we're all good.
And we're going into winter and you're starting to see the weather improve down under. Is that right?
Yes, we are. Yes, lovely sunlight and all those little things which you're about to go into your little shit show of a winter for the next 6 months. So I always feel glorious this time of year.
Are you waxing the surfboard, are you? Are you getting the surfboard ready, are you?
Oh, it's been waxed. It's been waxed all winter. So
cool.
The surf is better in winter. No, it's not. It's sort of like people go, oh, isn't it cold? But you don't go to the snow and go, oh, I'm so cold. You just wear a warm clothing. So it's the same thing in the surf. So, John, what's caught you curious?
Well, I was
this week.
It's something personal this week, Simon. I've been busy helping my mum, bless her, 87 years old. She's moving house. For a new chapter, and we had to go down and clear it out as a family, my brother and my sister and my mum. And as I was clearing things out, as you might imagine, we found all sorts of stuff, including a massive plastic bag full of all the Christmas cracker gifts we'd ever had as a family. So we opened this up and couldn't believe it that we found pairs of tiny nail clippers and plastic frogs and little magnifying glasses and padlocks without the key. And we had to actually go through this and discuss with my mum whether it was coming to the new house or whether we were going to get rid of it or not. So there we were having quite a long discussion. Are we taking the nail clippers? No, I think they should go, Mum. I think we need to get rid of the nail clippers. Then no one's going to use them. So yeah, that took longer than I thought, trying to clear out the house when we were down to that level of detail. So there you go. So that was me. Nothing particularly profound, but I was curious as to how much you can keep hold of. There's something poignant in there, but we won't go there because this is not so serious. How about you, Simon? What's caught your eye this week?
A few things, but it's been the last couple of hours. Just been watching the Australian rules football preliminary final and just almost had a heart attack. It's the first time I've probably felt anxiety. I was sitting there and, anyway, my team won. So that's just, anyway, I'm still recovering. So, John, that's taken my mind.
Is this AFL? This is pretty rough type sport.
It's sort of like a ballet version of rugby. So I can see our guests laughing, just going, what the hell are you talking about?
Yes.
Anyway.
And let's get to that then. It is a guest episode. So, Simon, who is the curious cat we have with us this week?
Well, John, what a curious cat. And look, as always, when I read through this person's bio, I just feel ashamed about the lack of things I've achieved in my life. So let's go through this. Okay. So our guest is an expert on humour and leadership, is the founder and CEO of Leading with Humour, which is an innovative consulting firm that helps executives to harness the power of humour in their change management strategies. Now, you think it would end there, but no. International speaker and pioneer of theories of change through humour. Our guest also bridges, I've seen her speak, entertainment, business and academia. Now, speaking of academia, she's a guest speaker at several top business schools and universities, including Cambridge Judge Business School, HEC in Paris, London Business School, Oxford University, Toulouse Business School, and HEC Business School. I hope I've said that right. Now, I'm only halfway through, so strap yourself in. Her work has been published in the Financial Times, the European Business Review, La Tribune, and the Harvard Business Review France, and Elle magazine. So not only cool magazines and academia. So like, this, yeah, you're getting a sense of of what we have on our show today. Now, 2 times TEDx speaker, stand-up comedian, created 2 comedy clubs, one in London and one in Cannes, where she both regularly performs. I'm still not finished, John. Certified laughter yoga coach and trainer. And that's the show. Thank you. No, but her main message: if you want to accelerate your business or career success, you need to understand the art and science of humour in leadership. Whew. John, please put your hands together for the most curious cat we've ever met, Dr Vanessa Marcie. Woo!
Hey, Vanessa. Hello to you. Thanks for joining us.
It's a pleasure. What else can I do on a Saturday morning?
To follow on from myself and Simon's introduction there about what's caught our eye this week, Vanessa, what have you been curious about this week? What has caught your eye in the news or in your world?
I've seen on TV the Frida Kahlo exhibition in Paris. There is a Frida Kahlo exhibition about fashion. I love fashion, so I'm looking forward to go to Paris to visit that. And I think the big news of the week is the CEO of Patagonia, who is giving away all the benefits of the company to fight climate crisis. And as I was saying on LinkedIn, is that, wow, that's just a big wow, because I don't know if I would give all my money if I was a billionaire. But I'm not yet. So for sure, I will start to be a philanthrope as soon as I earn my first million.
It's just given me...
Well, most people say after being on our show, their sales go remarkably up. So you're well on your way. So
I was going to say, I'm just thinking maybe I should donate all of those Christmas cracker toys and just give those to the world. Maybe that could be my gesture.
Now, Vanessa, where are you in the world today? We have people that listen all over the world. Where do you join us
from? From the sunny French Riviera, so south of France.
How lovely. Lovely.
Yeah.
And the weather, let's do a quick weather check there, please, Vanessa. How is it out the window?
About 30 degrees and sunny.
Oh,
yeah, I know. English people, they hate
Get out.
French people in the south of France.
And Simon gave quite an introduction there. And as he said, you have done a vast range of things and cross over many disciplines. But how would you describe what you do?
I help managers, CEOs, and entrepreneurs to harness the power of humor to be better leaders, put more simply.
And so in that, you've got some, we always like to talk on this show about intersections, and we might sort of visualize that as Venn diagrams.
As I mentioned, I'm bridging gaps between science, business, and humor. I think that's my intersection. Because I'm talking about business, I'm talking about humor, but I use science to do that.
Okay. To bring some robustness to it, so that the research maybe that underpins that, the academic text. Excellent.
Exactly. Because people, they tend to not take humor very seriously. So I really wanted to show that there is some serious science behind.
Is that important, Vanessa, that as you talk to business, that you do bring the science with you? Could it work as well, what you do, if you didn't have the science sort of there to support your discussions with CEOs and managers and directors about the benefits of it?
I think everybody who works and try to teach humor and work with humor are bringing their own vision of it, and it's linked to their specific talent and their background and who they are. Envisage it, I couldn't think of it without having the backbone of science. I think it helps to go to a company and say, yeah, I'm a comedian, but I'm not going to do it in a funny way. In the contrary, I wanted to position myself on someone who is taking humor very seriously and who is not going to make them laugh necessarily, but who is going to teach them how to use it so they can make others laugh, but in a serious context.
And presumably, again, it is fascinating. There's a spectrum of science that supports it as well, isn't it? Presumably you would have psychology, you would have sociology, you would have neuroscience start to say, well, look, how does the brain react when comedy is used or humour is used in terms of how people sort of connect with each other?
There is no specific science of humour, but it takes from lots of different science, as you mentioned. So that's why it makes it so fascinating.
When you talk about the science of humour, is there a bit out of all of those things, sociology, psychology, neuroscience, is there a bit where people lean in and go, I understand that a bit more, or I get excited about that a little bit more?
I think it's because I deal with leaders. I deal with CEOs, with managers, with entrepreneurs. So they kind of need to prove that it's not just some wee thing, or that it has some robustness, that they can bring like some data. Lots of my clients, they ask me, can you give us some data? That's very important. I have engineers, I have data scientists, I need data. I'm like, okay, no problem, so they need to prove. It still needs to be proven that humor has some benefits in companies. And that's why I'm here.
Yeah, I often find if you mention the word neuroscience, people go, oh, okay, now I'm interested. Yes. You could say anything after it. You just go, and on neuroscience, they go, yeah. And you go, okay, moving on.
Neuroscience,
you just need to mention
and
it.
Emotional intelligence. That's the,
Yeah. Two things. Like you put those in, everyone leans in. Now, maybe at this intersection of work or life, what lights you up and gets you excited?
The fact that with one word, just humor, I'm able to discover and learn about so many different sciences, and also that I'm able to connect with people, helping them to connect with each other. I'm learning how to make business better, how to make our organizations better. So it's just one word, one thing, one tiny thing, which is humor. I've been able to learn so much about myself and others and the world. And that's extraordinary, because when I started, I just wanted to know about how humor could help leaders. And I thought, okay, I'm just going to do one research, and then what else? Can I make a career out of it? And 3 years down the line, I'm still not done with it. And I'm like, wow, every day I discover something about it. And that's endless.
Vanessa, we're always curious as to someone's journey to where they find themselves today. Do you have 3 words that described you at school?
Yes, I prepared this one. Curious, chatty, and funny.
What a great friend you would have been. And obviously still are as well. So now, speaking of school, you've had a really interesting journey through academia through to stand-up, which is, from I see things, quite unusual, but in a very positive way. What were some of those leaps along the way? Like, where did you start? And is there 3 or 4 key steps? You've done so much studying. How did you land in comedy? Yeah. Tell us a little bit more about that.
That was a parallel journey. I think I've always been interested in humor. When I was a kid, I remember in the kindergarten, I was recreating, the slapstick comedy that I could see on TV with Charlie Chaplin or French humorists that I could see. But really, I got into comedy when I was living in London. So I moved to London for work. And a friend brought me to a comedy club, which I didn't know what it was, because I grew up on the French Riviera, not in Paris or in a big city. I saw comedy on TV. And for me, it was, wow, some people, VIP people, got into TV because they were funny, and that was it. And so I got into this world of comedy, and I wish I could say that it was love at first sight, but I didn't understand anything. I didn't laugh once. First, the comedian was Scottish, and I just arrived in England. I didn't understand anything about the Scottish accent.
Yeah. Good luck, yeah.
And I never seen this type of comedy where people, are on the stage alone, in front of drunk people, telling about their life. And you need a certain understanding about the culture to understand stand-up comedy.
Yeah.
But it stayed in the back of my mind. And one day, years later, I came across this ad about a stand-up comedy workshop. And I like to challenge myself. And I thought, what a great idea to say joke in another language in front of 60 strangers in a pub. What can go wrong? But it was completely, different from my academic journey, because I studied information and communication sciences. I did it because I thought about academia as a supermarket of knowledge. I learned a long time ago that university will not prepare me for the job market. So I always worked in parallel of my studies for what I wanted to do. For example, I started my career as a journalist. I didn't finish my study. Journalism funded my studies. I went into academia with a different mindset, with a curiosity mindset. What can I learn today? It was like a candy store. Oh, sociology looks good. Oh my God, I could learn about art. Oh, that was like that. There was not, in a way that, this is going to help me in my career.
Yeah.
Because I was preparing my career outside of university.
Yeah.
And comedy was just something that I thought could help me to cure my fear of public speaking. I said it on my website and on conferences. I was an academic. I was doing my PhD, and I had to present my research for the first time in a foreign country, in Canada. And I saw this big poster, it was like 5,000 participants. And it was my first time going to, presenting outside of my university, my research. And I thought, oh my God, 5,000 people are going to listen to me. And I got sick, and I was sick for 2 days. I was like, to the point where I was with other colleagues from university. They were like, you can go and present. You are so sick. And I'm like, no, I'm going there. I will do it. And then I realized that if you have 5 people in the room, you are lucky.
The fear of being up on stage, does that dissipate over time? Does it become normal for you? Or do you always have that just sort of tugging in the pit of the stomach still? In some, maybe to a lesser degree, but is it always there?
In fact, it doesn't disappear, but I learned to delay it. So before I was anxious, as I mentioned, 2 days before, I was literally being sick for 2 days about, projecting something that might happen and might not happen, which is very bad. And I realized it's not useful at all. It makes me anxious, it makes me bad, and as a result, I'm not delivering at my peak performance. Now I delayed it because I tell myself, it's not useful, what you are doing is not productive. So I allow you 5 minutes before going on stage to be anxious. And I allow myself 5 minutes before where my palm are sweating, I drink water, I go to the loo 10 times. I'm like, now you can be anxious.
I'm glad you explained that, because when you said I've delayed it, I thought you meant you went on stage and then you came off and got sick. I was thinking, wow, that's quite a way to deal with that, isn't it? Get it?
No, but also, also being on stage. I've been on stage more than 100 times with stand-up comedy, and even more with conferences and teaching. So now I know what I'm able to do on stage. And the moment I get on stage, I'm in what, is called now flow. I'm in the flow. I don't think about anything else except being on stage. I don't even think about what I'm saying. It's like it comes automatically now. And I'm thinking about the connection I have with the other people, and do they understand? Are they attentive? Can I make them laugh? And enjoying the moment. And like that, you spend like an hour or 2 hours or a day, just like boom, blink of an eye. And after, I feel high. I mean, like, I don't take drugs, but I assume it's the same feeling as if I was on cocaine or something. Just like, I can't sleep. I can't sleep after. My first time on stage, the first time I was on stage as a comedian, I didn't sleep that night. I was like, my God, this is the best feeling in the world. I want to do it again. I mean, I was hooked. I was completely hooked.
I was going to say, it's quite dangerous though there, Vanessa, because you could get hooked and then you say, hey man, I just need to get on stage 4 times a day. Come on, man. Just one more talk.
And I know some people.
just give me a little stage, man. Give me a little stage. Come on.
I need stage now.
Now there is some science in what you're saying, only because I've gone down this journey myself of being tested for adult ADHD and different things happening in your brain. And long story short, she said you've made a career for yourself of being on stage, so you feel quite high, and that releases all the feel-good neurotransmitters in your brain. So when you're on stage, your thinking is really good because you're releasing dopamine, serotonin, etc. When you get off stage and you're at your desk, that's the problem. Yeah, so what you're saying, there's a little bit of science behind, a lot of science behind this. And the nerves, I don't think they ever dissipate. So only just basing a talk I gave last week. Workshop, fine. A talk in front of an audience for 45 minutes. Like you said, the sweats, go to the toilet 25 times and you dry mouth. So I don't think it ever dissipates.
That's why I decided that I took a conscious decision of delaying it and just, allowing me a short amount of time, because I know it's not useful. I know it's normal, but it's not productive, it's not helpful, and it's not true. I mean, I know what I can perform on stage. So I just accept it and I allow it to be, and then I'm on stage.
And that's it's really interesting as well, as you were saying, you're in the flow and you feel sort of you're in the zone, but you're still highly attentive to the audience. It's quite interesting that you're not just delivering what you need to deliver. The stand-up gives you that ability to read the audience better. And I think it helps hugely, because stand-up is all about connection. If you don't connect with the audience, with the public, it's not going to work. You can have like the best joke in the world, and if you don't deliver, if you don't connect with them, it's going to fall flat. It's not going to work. So it's super important.
Is that part of the work you do when you teach the power of humour? Does that tie in with performance as well? Like when you work with leaders and people in organisations, is it part of that connection that you teach that goes with the humour, or are they one and the same, or not?
Well, what I do with the leaders, especially in one-to-one coaching, is that really we go in the direction they need to go. So it really depends on their issues. So if they need performance, I teach them how to deliver a good performance. A lot of people are coming to me to learn how to use humor to deliver a TEDx type of talk, for example. But mostly it's about really the science, like when and where to use humor and for what reason, how you can get the most out of humor, basically. It's like you are looking to change the DNA of your company, the culture of your company. How do you recruit the right people? You are delivering a presentation. Your presentation is really dull with like dry data. How can you make it more entertaining? So it's lots of science, experience, and of course funny, how we craft a joke, where you put the joke, exactly where it's the right moment, what type of humor you should use. So all those questions that nobody is thinking about, because apparently I'm the only one who is intellectually humor in the world.
As they say, humour is a serious business, as you describe it.
Exactly.
There's so much in it. Vanessa, just as we come on this rapid fire round as well, and the journey, people that have inspired you along the way, there's obviously been various points where you went one direction over another. There must have been people who sort of came into play at various points of your journey, and who might they have been, and maybe who inspires you today?
It's not so much inspiration as mentoring, I think. I started my comedy career because of Jay Sodagar, who is a British comedian, who was my teacher. Not my first teacher, but certainly the teacher who gave me the confidence to go on stage and start my own comedy club, and is always very supportive. He's been an MC at my club many times, and it just makes comedy accessible to everyone, and is like very encouraging. Otherwise, inspiring, I think all the comedians I see on stage are inspiring me. I mean, the amateur comedians, because when they are successful, they invite you, they tell you that success is possible in comedy. I've started with many comedians that are now represented by agents. They've done the comedy store. They won the gong many times. And I'm not jealous of them. I'm thinking I should, kick my own butt to be at that level first. And second, it's like, it's possible. It's not like something which, it's due to hazard or because you are funnier than others. No, with work, dedication, with time, you can do it. You can totally do it. And that's hugely inspiring, because I have that in the back of my mind thinking, the day you really put all your effort on it, you will be there. You will be on BBC. You will be on Comedy Store. You will rock the world on stage.
World domination awaits, I think.
Exactly. Humor domination. I have a sign in front of me saying Humor Empire.
Okay, so as we're a not-so-serious business podcast about creativity, curiosity, and imagination, I'm thinking of comedy, and are all comedians highly curious?
Oh, It should not even be a question. I mean, of course, you can't be a comedian if you are not at least a tiny bit curious. Comedians are modern philosophers, and maybe that's why you have interviewed so many in your podcast, because it's their vision of life that make you laugh. They make you think. They make you laugh. They make you think in a funny way, because they have this ability to focus on the funny side of life. And if you focus every day on the funny side of life, you end up rewiring your brain for funny and positivity. And so you see it everywhere after. Being a comedian, you are very you do a lot of observation of life, because that's what is nurturing your art. It's part of your process. And so, you are immensely curious and brave as well, because you go where nobody is going. You try things on stage. You are vulnerable. It taught me so much, stand-up. It transformed me into the person I am today.
As you were saying that, Vanessa, it absolutely strikes me that obviously comedians are curious, and they, as you say, through those observations, they point out absurdities, they point out contradictions, they point out connections. You know, one of the great things you often see in the comedy is they tie one idea to another that no one else has seen. And then you go, oh, wow. And the surprise creates then the laugh, the recognition of... And
that is exactly the definition of creativity. Creativity is when you put different concepts together. And for me, the process of creating a joke in itself is the same thing as, creating something. It's a similar process of creating of designing a product, for example. You have this idea, comes from nowhere, you don't know where it comes from. And then you refine it, you polish it, you push it in front of your beta tester, aka the audience. And you try to see, does it hit the goal? Does it make them laugh? If not, you work on it again and again until it hits the goal, until it makes everybody laugh every time.
We were talking about this a few weeks back, was work in progress. I was saying I was at the Edinburgh Fringe, and absolutely the work in progress idea with the comedian coming forward with some ideas, testing it, experimenting and going, well, if it didn't get a laugh, then okay, I'll work it again. And that created quite a different relationship between the comedian and the audience. They knew he was trying and it was a draft. And so it was more relaxed, it felt, because there was some leeway being given and they were helping him find a better joke almost.
Yeah. Well, anyway, if it's free, nothing is free, guys. So you have to work, you viewers.
Yeah, that's it. The audience had a job to do.
You have a job to do. But that's my Fringe. I've been to the Fringe many times and I just did spots, means like just a few minutes on stage at someone else's show. But next year, I'm planning a split show with a friend at the Fringe. So I'm putting all my jokes together.
Hey.
Like at least 30 minutes material to go to the Fringe.
Well, please come and try it out.
Very cool.
Try it out. Work in progress at Brighton Fringe.
Yeah.
Come to Brighton. It's 3 or 4 months before Edinburgh. You can come and try it out. And I'll promise I will laugh at it if it's funny, and I will heckle.
Oh, wonderful. I love heckler.
What's your best heckle, Vanessa? Have you had any good heckles?
Yeah. Great question.
I used to, and I'm still not super comfortable with heckling because I'm French. So, sometimes people, they heckle. I do stand up in English. So people are English and they heckle. And I'm always fearing that I'm not going to understand what they are saying. And I had like some funny anecdotes like that. Like the first time I got heckled, I was in a club and I heard someone say something like shush or shut up. And I was like, I turned to the person and I said, shut up, you. That was the early beginning, And then the club owner turned to me and said, Vanessa, he was trying to help because someone was talking over you. I was like, oop. Sorry.
Now, I really like this point about curiosity, because John and I talk about this all the time. When you're curious and you walk around with a sense of wonder, you see things that other people miss. So put your phone down, look up, listen. We often speak about active listening, but I also like to talk about active looking, because when you're really curious, all of a sudden the whole world opens up to you. And I think that's what's great Again, I sort of, when I talk around comedy, I sort of explain to people, just you find the interesting in the really normal stuff that we all do on a day to day. So you might go, you know, when you're at the supermarket and you're in the line and the whole audience goes, oh, yeah, I know that. There's that ability to find the detail in the everyday. And so, yeah, how do you keep your curiosity high? What do you practice to stay curious?
Get out of my comfort zone. I think that's essential. That's what got me into comedy, because I got way out of my comfort zone in trying stand-up. And since then, I not taking the same way to go to work, talking to people you would not, talk to in real life, read books that are not, familiar to you, get exposed to new concepts, go to, weird exhibition. It's like this book from Julia Cameron, Way to Creativity or something like that. That's taking yourself in a date, because you need to reconnect with the child in you. A child has no problem with imagination, creativity, zero problem. They are creative 24 hours, 7 days a week, because they don't judge themselves. They don't overthink stuff. They don't intellectualize things. And we need to reconnect to that in order to be creative. And that means putting yourself in danger sometimes, because the creativity doesn't come from routine. Routine is great. I love routine. But creativity comes from when you break the routine and suddenly, you leave space, you make space for something else.
It's clear that the pursuit of humour almost unlocks all those things. It unlocks curiosity, unlocks creativity, unlocks imagination, because the desire to create something that is funny will have to apply those skills or think in that way.
At least for me, I think there are many paths to creativity, to imagination, and comedians, we choose the path of humor, because in a way it's service. Humor is service. It's different from painting, because painting can be highly rewarding on your own, just because you paint and you create something wonderful and you are happy to hang it and look at it because it's aesthetically beautiful. But humor doesn't exist if we don't have an audience. It's a performance, like ballet.
That's a really good point.
We need others. And you have a feedback. When you watch dance, which is performance as well, you have no feedback except like the applaud at the end. But for us, we have the laugh. We immediately know if we connected with the audience, our goal is to make them laugh, literally. And making someone laugh is a service in a way. It's kindness. It's, a way to love people. And we exist for that, solely for that. We have not done our job if other people are not laughing.
A noble cause. Arise, Saint Vanessa Marcie.
Maybe not, but for me, it has a higher purpose than just crafting a joke and being on stage. It's because when someone has had a hard day and he goes to a comedy club, for the few minutes you make them laugh, or he forgets all his trouble. He can have anything in his life. He's in the moment. He's in the flow. He laughs, and your brain can come back to the same state as it was before if you are laughed. So if you are like depressed, you had anxiety, you had a bad day, you laugh, and your day, it's clearing all the negative energy and make you better. So that's why we are at service of people.
So, Vanessa, this is a thought experiment. We've got a very special one for you today. It's called Blankety Blank. What we have is some jokes. Some of them are classics, some of them are new. Some voted for the best joke of Edinburgh Fringe over the past few years. And what we'd like you to do is simply fill in the blank at the end of each joke to complete the punchline. So we've got just 7 of these and we'll be keeping score. So here we go. The first one is, I'm not a fan of the new pound coin, but then again, I hate all blank.
Money?
Oh, it's not bad.
Close.
But it's I hate all change. And that was my...
Oh. Oh.
And that's
Now I get it.
Oh, yeah, good one.
all right. Here we go. Simon, do you want to do the next one?
I told my boss I was tired of being a human cannonball, so he blanked me.
So he fired me.
Yay!
Yeah.
Excellent. Well done. That's so 1 out of 2. That's not bad. Okay. Here's the next one now. My dad has suggested that I register for a donor card. He's a man after my own blank.
Heart?
Yes! Very good.
Now we need to credit the person here as well. Like, who's this from?
So just to say, that first one there, I'm not a fan of the new pound coin. That was Ken Cheng, 2017, Edinburgh Fringe. And that one there, my dad has suggested I register for a donor card, is Masai Graham, and that was a 2016 winner. The other jokes that are unattributed are just random ones I have found in various joke books.
All right. Okay. Our next one is, I just found out that I'm colorblind. The diagnosis came right out of the...
Come on, Vanessa. You can do this. Came right out of the...
I just found out I'm colorblind. The diagnosis came right out of the...
Color book? I don't know.
Came right out of the purple.
I don't...
I was wondering whether this might be lost in translation. Have you heard the phrase coming out of the blue, where something comes as a surprise?
The blue, yeah. The blue.
Okay, so that's coming out of the blue. They're colorblind. Yeah, anyway, if we have to explain a joke, it's not worked very well. It is a good joke.
Exactly, if you have to explain it.
Exactly.
It is, but
I like it.
It's an afterthought. You need to think about it. So,
All right.
Next one. Number 5.
my bro, for me.
How does the Pope pay for things online? He uses his blank account. He uses his...
Is a secret.
Don't say secret Swiss bank account. No, that's... We don't want to be saying stuff like that. He uses his PayPal account. You get it? Eh? PayPal? PayPal? Yes, well, you get the idea there. Go on, right. Simon.
Now, what I'm finding out is the ones that you've sort of sourced on your own / come from your own comedy book don't work that well. But the other ones do. Anyway, okay, last one. I've decided to sell my Hoover / vacuum cleaner. Well, it was just collecting blank.
Dust.
Yes!
Hey!
Well done. That is a classic.
And that's from 2014 Edinburgh Fringe Festival from Tim Vine.
Love a bit of Tim. And that was Blankety Blanked.
All right, we're going to have a quick rapid fire round just to wrap us up. Quickly, what's one thing you couldn't do without in your life right at this moment?
Netflix.
Good answer.
That's often said, actually.
No, but I mean, funny enough, I subscribed to Netflix a month ago, and I realized, oh my God, there are so many documentaries and stand-up special. It's a gold mine. I love it.
Now, we're building the Occupational's Manifesto. So what one piece of all your learning or wisdom do you think should be included on our Manifesto?
I think I mentioned it, but what I wanted to say is, for me, humor is a way to kindness, because through a joke, it contributes to add levity to this world. And being a comedian, I help to alleviate people's problem. And leading with humor is my way to make the world better, kinder, and helping people to laugh together.
Oh, what a lovely thing to say as well. Now, look, is there a book we should be reading?
No,
other than your own?
Yeah, that's my own first. But I finished the Humor Code by Joel Warner and Peter McGraw, and I loved it. It was that I postponed it for a while because I thought it was going to be academic and I didn't want to be influenced in my own work. But I realized that it's a quest, and I loved it. Like two guys, an academic and a journalist, went on a quest to crack the humor code. And that gave me an idea because I really would like to do the same thing and to travel around to do my own humor quest. That would be awesome. I think that's my next challenge.
The quest for the holy grail of comedy.
Exactly.
And finally, Vanessa, let's project ourselves into the future. You're now retired. It's the twilight years and you're being led into your retirement home. And you're going to be introduced to the guests in the retirement home. They're sat in the lounge and the nurse brings you in. She said, "Hello, everybody. This is Vanessa. She's..." How would you like to be introduced?
You didn't say is. You say she when you shared a question.
She.
Because I thought it was an English polite way to ask me what would I like to see written on my tombstone.
That will work.
Well, yeah, okay. Go on, go with the headstone. What's on the headstone?
So on the headstone, here is Vanessa. She lived fully, she learned plenty, and she laughed heartily. She humbly tried to make you laugh, and if she failed, too late. Sorry.
That's a big headstone.
Yeah, it's a few headstones. It's a collection.
Was this a mausoleum you want erected?
Yeah, that's
And a QR code if you want to know more.
The family, the family, things like they have a house, and so it would be written all over.
Now, look, you're up to so much. Like when we read out your bio at the beginning, as I said, every time we have a guest, I read through their bio and I sort of feel very insignificant about my own life, but in a positive way.
Now you feel less intimidated?
Given all of those great things you're doing, what are you up to next? What's some cool stuff you've got on the horizon?
My book. I'm about to publish my first book about humor. I hope I will write many others. So I'm in the last stretch of correction, but it should be out in November in French and hopefully 2023 in English. So hope you will soon be able to read it. It's about the power of humor and how to develop your leadership, strengthen your confidence, and master the art of the comeback. It's filled with case studies, interviews, and tips. It's not necessarily going to be funny, but it's going to be at the service of leaders to help them to implement, to use humor at work every day.
Amazing. I look forward to reading that and wish you all the best with that. And finally, where can people find you, Vanessa? How can they connect with you, buy your drinks? Where do we find you?
Mostly in the virtual world, mostly on LinkedIn. That's where I'm the most reactive.
Yep.
Then my two websites, leadingwithhumor.com and drvanessamarcie.com, where you find all my courses, training, updates. And to buy me a drink, well, in October in London, at comedy clubs, most part of the time. I don't drink beer, but I like my shandy.
So look, it's been a real pleasure to have you on the show. And look, if okay with you, I'd love to have you back when your book's out. We can talk about that some more because I know we're all doing this on the weekend, so we promised to keep our time short to make sure we're all still smiling at each other. But there's so much more I want to ask you about this. I literally feel like I've only scratched the surface of this. So
me too.
In the new year, we'd love to have, or even later this year, but in the new year, we'd love to have you back on, talk a little bit more about your book and some of the things out of that. And we've got another thought experiment, which we've run out of time for, but we'd love to do that with you as well. So look, thanks so much for being on our show. And you're right at the heart of all the things we talk around, being curious, using your creativity, being brave, going out in the world, out of your comfort zone. So look, thanks so much for joining us. And I'm going to say now, we can't wait to have you back on.
Thank you. Me too. Can't wait. And
thanks so much, Vanessa.
Dare to be funny.
John, that was as always, what a great guest. And I only, with the tip of the iceberg, I think there's probably 3, 4, 5 shows in just that one topic. And it's the
tip of the tip.
Wow.
I think we got to the tip of the tip. If there's such a thing. I feel quite bereft. I need more, man.
Imagine you can now add that to, that iceberg diagram where you go, Stephen Covey does it and they go, this is what you see and this is below the surface, but this is the tip and this is the next bit down and then the next bit down and then there's the water.
Yeah. We've got a lot to learn. I suppose in terms of takeaways, maybe for me, the first thing is there is so much to it. Just the way she dissected it and actually has said, look, there's a real science to this, and humour can play into so many things to ourselves as individuals, as leaders, or as teams. It can offer so much. I think that's one of the key takeaways for me, is just going,
yeah,
there's a huge amount in this. I'm really looking forward to the book, The Power of Humour. I'm definitely going to be reading that. I love the idea of humour being a form of kindness. I thought that was a lovely sentiment.
Yeah.
And I get it, because you realise that humour does serve other people in some ways. You know, you put something out there as humour to bring levity, to ease pain and have people forget their troubles or their worries.
Yeah.
So, you know, kind of realised that, but it was nice to have Vanessa encapsulate it in that short, sharp sentiment.
And so different to many of the other arts, as in your humour is nothing, or no, comedy is nothing without an audience. So it's that interaction, whereas a lot of the arts is, you know, I'm talking about for the sake of just doing it, but you generally, I don't know, you're probably not going to go, I wrote some great comedy today, would you? It's sort of nothing without people, isn't it? Yeah,
write some jokes and then just put them away somewhere. I really enjoyed writing those.
Yeah. And there's a 10%, you know, that the writing is a good thing, but you have to, So I love that really intersection of people and the arts as well. Look, for me, I really like this idea of just and obviously we knew this to some extent, but you have to be highly curious. If you look at the world with eyes wide open, we come back to this each and every week, you will see things that other people miss. And curiosity is anything that is, anyone can do it starting now. That's a simple thing to do. And I like this thought of where comedians are modern day philosophers. Yeah.
Yeah. Perfect.
They take us somewhere we wouldn't go, make us ask great questions. And also they sort of challenge us in ways through humour to ask some questions we might not have felt comfortable doing in a normal environment, maybe. So look, that's me, but I'm looking at this bottle of wine I've started, so I think we need to wrap up. So
yeah, that's it. We don't want to open the second bottle, do we?
No, I don't normally record on the a weekend evening, so I think we need to wrap this up. John, so look, as always.
Well, we'd like people to subscribe, obviously, tell their friends, listen in, rate us. That's always good. That's useful for us to get, and it's useful feedback. Lovely to hear what people think. And
email us. John's got set up for fax, occupationalphilosophers@gmail.com. Bunch of socials on our website, which is occupationalphilosophers.com. And as always, this week, we encourage you to stay curious, have fun, make stuff, play more, but most importantly,
date life.
So, John, I was doing a little bit more digging, and this year's joke from the Edinburgh Fringe, the number one joke from Masai Graham, I tried to steal spaghetti from the shop, but the female guard saw me and I couldn't get blank.
Faster.
Boom, boom.